There we go, I think.
I just wanted you to know it was me.
Okay, Dylan. All right. I just wanted okay, was that? Okay. I'm just trying to, as I said, y'all, I'm trying to figure out as far as, how this works and kind of get to know this system a little bit so that, hopefully in the future, the idea will be to try to find some ways to organically grow without having a bunch of people coming in just trying to get co-ops like we've had a good bit with WIT Publishing. Um, and also as far as just people coming in and kind of Dylan's kind of worked a lot to that make sure that didn't happen with WIT. They have a great team over there, but that can become a problem, and so I wanted to make sure that I was talking to people correctly. Dylan, I don't know. They most of them know about the project we're working on. So the people that are in here right now. It's not something that, as far as with that, we are doing the puzzle tomorrow, as I stated. I don't know why it's saying this. I can't get it off of it, but who cares? So, because I thought you requested Alex, but now it has something over your name. So, but yeah, I just want to do a quick spaces. Dylan, what time is your spaces tonight? Just to be aware of that.
Yeah, with publishing Twitter Spaces is going to be the usual 7 to 9 p.m. We had a guest. I remember like sitting down and like plotting out like who the best guest would be, and like I think I even got confirmation from that person, but I can't remember who it was. So if anybody knows who the guest for the Twitter Spaces tonight was going to be, it would actually probably just be you or Lindsay that would know that, but. Anyway, we're basically probably going to end up doing about the same thing as we did last week and the week before.
Okay. Well, that's also this Wednesday, for some people that might be fans, Austin, especially you with your picture, we are actually going to be proud to present Jenkins the Valet at that's on Token Smart. So I don't know if you have the Token Smart, Austin, you might want to think about doing that. What time is that show and everything, as far as to let Alex and Austin know about that? That's it. What time, Dylan?
7 p.m. Sorry, I was muted.
No, not for the show. I'm talking about Jenkins the Valet on Token Smart.
Oh, yeah, that's the same time. That's this time Twitter or Token Smart always is. So 12:30 p.m. tomorrow CST. That's 1:30 EST. And if you're in Pacific, it's 10:30 a.m. So be ready to be up early.
Yeah, so that's going to be a great show. I think the idea is that, with them writing their own stories, it does seem like Jenkins and his buddy are doing a lot of the work with authors and have professional writers. So I think that maybe the ones that are in, Jenkins as well and in voting, I believe there are some people that might have some interest of different ways that they can maybe work with their characters or do something maybe besides that. So I look forward to us talking to them about their project and how that's going.
Yeah, that's going to be super fun. I do want to say, Andy, that I am planning tomorrow to offer them the opportunity to use the NF2 book mentor tech stack to produce that book with if they would like. Have you heard anything about what tech they plan to use?
No, they haven't really talked about that much within their calls and everything. If I'm wrong about that, Austin, you can let me know. But I believe it's been more centered on, the storytelling and kind of some of the, kind of getting the ball rolling with some of the stories they've done so far.
But as they should, man. We got to be able to help them quite a bit, though, if they need it. So that's out there, too.
Yeah. So, and also, Alex, glad to see you, man.
Yeah, thank you.
How's your week been going?
Oh, not bad, just work from home. So, I can kind of split my eyes between screens. So I might be able to make that Token Smart tomorrow. I know a few people that, are valet. They have the valet stand or keys and passes, that minted a bunch of that stuff. So that'd probably be pretty interesting to hear.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things. Like I actually got a couple of the stands and everything because I thought it was really going to give you a chance to work with the actual team and come up with ideas. And then it turned out, I mean, and it's good and all, but it just gave you, more votes than everybody else as far as different things. I think it
Right.
kind of, so it kind of was like, oh man, I mean, I thought I was going to get a stand to be a part of the actual process and be like, hey, like we have a pass the pen that we do
Yep.
on Token Smart as well, and it's a very creative writing process, and people enjoy it. I thought they might have something like that a little bit with the apes, and so that's.
So I tell you, I mean, I know maybe Jenkins didn't go that way, but have you seen the Glue Factory show, which has the Belushi kid and a bunch of SNL writers and stuff? If you get a Glue Factory horse and the floor is really low, they're like 0.05 ETH or something right now. They minted out probably a month ago. It's hilarious, and they haven't done an episode yet, but they got like one of the voice actors from the Nickelodeon show Hey Arnold from the 90s. And like I said, they got like a bunch of SNL writers. They got the Belushi kid, and they actually have a writer's room where if you own a horse, you can just say, hey, I want to be in the writer's room, and they give out writing assignments every week where you can just like riff and toss stuff in there to them, and they consider it to try to build out the show or use them as Easter eggs and things like that. So
Well, that sounds like a hell of a lot of fun.
yeah,
And that's really stuff that if you ever hear something about that or hear about a project, that's something I feel like with Whip and with Dylan over here that that's going to be something valuable for us as far as whether it is to just check out the community. We want to start as far as just like with this Jenkins, we did a lot of, they had me on this Token Smart to talk about my book, other books from the Genesis series. And, but we want to kind of branch out and say, hey, even if it's a project not with us, maybe we have some resources that we can help with, or maybe there's other people that want to share in a story. So anytime we hear about a community or you hear about one, please just come to us and be like, hey, have you heard about this yet? Because it'll only make us the whole community stronger.
Yeah, I'll drop the invites to those Discord servers. The other one, like I said, Glue Factory show, that's a bunch of SNL people. It's really inclusive. So they're actually just trying to get, writers and regular people involved with them, which is really cool. And like I said, you can still buy the horses on OpenSea on secondary and be an actual token holder. And as a token holder, if they use your horse in a show, they pay you royalties and stuff too, which is really cool. The other one that's doing that, that sort of came first as far as I was tracking, was Mini Mints. So I'll drop that one too. And it's actually some Austrian developers and team leads, but they've got these kind of Powerpuff Girl, but they're like three-dimensional rectangles called Mini Mints. And if you hold those, same thing. They've already released one. It's very European. When you watch it, it's kind of funny. As long as you understand it, it's coming from Europe. The humor, you can appreciate the odd German sense of humor. But they've already released one episode, a little mini 1 minute short on the blockchain. Minted at like 0.07 or 0.08 ETH. But as far as I'm aware, they're the first one to have done it. So I'll drop those too, and you guys can check them out because barrier to entry is really low on both of them. And I think with Glue Factory, you don't even have to have a horse. You just don't have a potential to earn royalties if you're not a horse holder. But I think you can still get in on the writing assignments and stuff.
Well, good to see you, Austin, man. How are you doing this week?
Hey, I'm good. Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to get on here. Apparently, you can only do it from mobile. I was on my desktop, and there was just no way to join. So pulled it up on my phone, and here I am. But I'm doing good.
And how much are you aware of the Jenkins? Are you a part of that Discord with Jenkins? And what is your familiarity with that project?
I looked at it to begin with. I didn't mint any. It's kind of been on my radar to purchase a few of those. It's an intriguing project. I think it's great. And I was in on the Glue Factory thing that Alex was talking about as well. there's a whole bunch of those things out there, and everybody's trying to do the knockoffs on the comics with, I think there's 3 or 4 different kind of comic write-ups coming up with issue 2 of the Pixel Vault Punks comics. You got the Board 8 comics, and there's one other big blue chip one that I'm blanking on right now that's also out there that's coming up trying to write something. So might be a good opportunity for Whip to get involved in some fashion.
Yeah,
Hey, absolutely. Yeah, yesterday in the Whip Discord, I'm not sure if any of you guys were around for it, but we had a demo, which was amazing. And basically, Phil has created this thing called Misfortune Mondays. And what Misfortune Mondays has that no other Whippy event has is its own Discord bot that's going to enable people to mint NFTs. And so we got kind of the first teaser glance at that yesterday, which was a hell of a lot of fun. But yeah, like basically the point of Whippy is to be building out technical stuff like this that makes it more fun and easier and, just cooler to be a writer. So we'd be all about getting involved with, any of these badass groups that are working on these stories and, at the very least, letting them use our tech, but at the very most, maybe even collaborating with them on their story.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of chances to, be able to work with different crews and be able to kind of learn from them. But yeah, the Misfortune Mondays, y'all, that is really cool on Web they're doing. Carolina over here I believe was the winner 2 weeks ago, where you will get explosive diarrhea was your Misfortune cookie. So it is just, pretty funny, some of these things that people are able to come up with. And that new bot is really something cool. It's really cool to see these different things in action. But besides, as I said, I really just wanted to try this out. There's, I don't know, Alex, did you get a chance to check out the 2-page drop from the 3rd section?
Yeah. The one where it's that it's like 2 pages, right? Where it reads one way the first time and you switch I forget what that's called, but I was like, oh yeah, that's.
Yeah, I got into a big thing with my editor about that. I finally had to bend to her will, and I'm really kind of glad that I did. I just wanted to have it upside down and only read that way, and really kind of confuse the people because the situation, if anybody remembers from the 2nd section, as long as you're reading the bitter end and know that you're in the bitter end instead of sweet beginnings on the bottom of the page, he's on the kitchen floor and he's just laying there sprawled out on the kitchen floor. And so that's actually her coming in and finding him collapsed and helping him get up, and giving him this glass kind of water and maybe something for his back. But when you read it upside down, it looks like they're just talking. And then all of a sudden she comes over and attacks him and just takes him down to the ground and he passes out. So I just kind of like the play on how it has these 2 different introvert things of her attacking him, but then she's helping him. So that's kind of what the theme for that is. And, the reason I also wanted to do it in 2 pages is because, getting people to sit down and read a book can be a challenge in this day and age. And especially if they don't know too much in it. But if you have some people that are interested in reading a book or this or that, it's one of those things where it's kind of like, hey, why don't y'all check out these 2 pages? Tell me what you think. And if it's something you think that's kind of interesting, get involved with the project. Because, I'm at the point where I don't want to just start, going retweet this and trying to grab a whole bunch of new followers, because that's not, really the way I want to go about it. But at the same time, I want to get people more involved before, it's halfway done and we're at the end of the year and starting to go towards the beginning of next year. But that's kind of really the point at the end of this year where I think it's going to get really kind of exciting and like what is really going on here as far as the work. So I just wanted to kind of, express that, see what was happening in this space and, get y'all ready for tomorrow as far as this puzzle. I'm really excited about what we're doing with this puzzle. And just to let you know, I'm really excited to announce tomorrow that the puzzle after this one will actually be in the metaverse. I believe we're going to be setting it up in crypto voxels, and it's going to be part of a music festival that's going to run 72 hours straight during Halloween weekend. So if anybody, like as far as y'all personally know in life, maybe some people that are musicians, this is really kind of talking about how this is the evolution of the music industry and how people are not going to need record labels as much, or they're not going to need this. They're going to be able to start doing things more on their own and for their own self. So we're onboarding people for the festival. We're teaching them how to work with this and also how to do like NFTs. So it can be a really valuable resource if you know some bands that might have an interest and want to sign maybe up.
Hey, let me tell you about something. Let me interrupt you there for a second, Andy. Are any of you guys familiar with Tiki Bar?
Yeah,
I just heard about that and had some kind of fiasco with it or something. No, it made it sound like it was a pyramid scheme, right? Almost like Amway.
No, it's this just a bunch of people in there talking FUD and going on and off. It just all the guys that are getting into these things just to flip, and they want to buy in and sell for 10x right off the bat. I think that's what most of that was. I was a little hesitant at first, but I ended up buying in quite a few, just more or less because I kind of believe in the guy. He's not doing this for the money. He's pretty well respected across the various internet communities that I've been involved with historically. But he wants to do a music festival, and he wants to take basically the ticket sales out of the hands of ticket masters and those kinds of things, and put the community in charge, and then have each community token holder get a royalty from ticket sales. It's kind of an interesting concept. I don't know if it's got any legs or not.
And this is the MVMF with Jose Cabrera, is that correct?
No, it's Frenchie with Tiki Bar.
Whoa!
Yeah, I'll send you a link.
Yeah, I did hear good things about him. Like, I guess he has an unbelievable NFT collection and stuff, huh? Like, he's a pretty big whale.
Yeah, he was big when, internet 1.0 and 2.0, and he's kind of made his millions, and he wants to leave a legacy is kind of what he's saying. He's got a long-term vision for this project. There's nothing short-term about it. It's going to be a year or two in the making at the minimum. And nobody in this space is really interested in doing stuff like that for the most part. At least that's my perspective. A year or two in the NFT space is like a decade. But this concept of doing a festival where you can and then monetize your own PFPs on the tickets and for anything that you own kind of your own IP rights to, it's really intriguing, and I think it's got some long-term potential. He didn't really know how to, I think, put it all into words, and he rushed the announcement, and it led to a mass exodus of all the people that are just looking to make their 10x in a couple days or whatever on the latest NFT drop. But the concept behind it is really, really interesting. I would encourage you guys just to take a look, and especially if you're into music and stuff like I am, and you can have the potential to be involved in one of these projects and actually get a royalty from it. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I've been actually reaching out to some communities and talking to them about the project they're working on, and maybe seeing if they could bring some bands to the table as far as this metaverse festival. And so it would probably be a great idea to reach out and see if he wants to have any involvement so that people can find out about the festivals he's doing. and, you know, him be able to promote some different people that are there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, even like Dead Fellas. I don't know if any of you guys saw those, but I minted one of those probably in July or whatever. I forget when they dropped, but their big announcement was if you hold a Dead Fella, it's your ticket to their Halloween metaverse party they're hosting in Decentraland on the 29th of October. So curious to see what the price action is going to be on those. If anybody, you know, cares if it's going to drive up any, you know, sort of price movement on those NFTs, because they're essentially your ticket in. I mean, the other cool one we've seen is with Slacker Duck Pond. You know, some people got into a Vegas event because one of the devs, creative director, he's out in Vegas, and I guess somebody just messaged him, was like, "Hey man, we're in Vegas," and he was like, "Hey, you want to go see Little John and someone else?" And they literally walked past all these people at the Velvet Rope right into a VIP club event just because they're Slacker Duck holders, you know. And then, you know, Draghetto, the Italian guy that, you know, is behind the art and everything, he's up in Milan, Italy. He's like a big time fashion mogul, like multimillionaire or something. So it's crazy sometimes when you figure out who's at the helm of these things. It's not always just people trying to make a buck on some profile pictures or anything. And I mean, look at Subducks. I was lucky enough to win one of those off a Twitter early adopter giveaway, and that's Frankie Nines, who, you know, was at the helm with Dapper Labs when they did CryptoKitties. He was with Dapper Labs for a bunch of years. He's been in like major corporation media marketing things, and he's doing that whole Subducks thing, and he's killing it. He just dropped a token, you know, called Volt, and like you get, if you're a duck holder, you get 100 volt per duck, and then you accumulate 10 volt per day for holding. And it's not really in the sense like, you know, the DAO, like what you guys are talking about, like with publishing, where it can become a coin with, you know, altcoin type global value. But the Volt token, he envisions it like a Chuck E. Cheese type token. So, you know, eventually you can use it to cash in at the merch store and buy like shirts, hats, shorts, you know, all branded with the Subduck stuff. They're dropping like a King Frog, which is a, you know, a feature in with their community, and like you're to be able to breed the frogs, because he was part of the whole CryptoKitties, you know, breeding like bunnies and making like 2 million NFT assets, and it went out of control. I guess you're gonna have to use Volt tokens to be able to like breed your frogs to create more, and there's a burn mechanism and, you know, some other things to control the frog population and all this other stuff, so it doesn't get out of the way. So it's really interesting, you know, where they're going. They're talking to Comic. They're making little bungalows where you can craft your own little space, you know, that you can log into, and your frog and your duck and all this stuff. So I mean, they're doing some, you know, crazy stuff over there too. There is some pretty neat, you know, pockets in this space.
Speaking of Dapper, did y'all see the news today where Google is doing a partnership with Flow and Dapper Labs?
Oh,
Really?
please, tell me about this, man. You're going to get me excited.
Yeah, I haven't finished reading the article yet, but I just saw it on one of my streams and bookmarked it to read this evening. But yeah, there's some kind of big deal went down, I think today, with Google and Dapper. So
Nice.
I told
Holy shit.
I told people as far as the reason why Michael Jordan, you know, went in and on that with that investment team of over $300 million with Dapper is because he was tired of seeing the LeBron James sell for all this, and he just wants to blow him out of the water. He's like, wait till they release my Top Shot.
yeah, for sure. I put way too much in the Top Shot early, but thankfully I got in early enough that I didn't get crushed by the bear market. It's actually been on fire lately.
You'd be doing all right. Even sitting on them now, long term.
Oh yeah, I bought it.
Bro, my osmosis has gone up like 5x in the last month. It's ridiculous.
But I've been dying to figure out how to get get flow in the U.S. without having to buy through China on a VPN. So if anybody knows how to do that, let me know.
But Flow's only on like what, Binance or something right now?
It's not a Kraken.
Kraken, that's right.
But you can't buy it in the U.S. or Canada. There are ways around it, but it's pretty shady. And I guess
Man, I staked a quarter ETH on Kraken, and it won't let me unstake. It's like you're in the U.S., so you can't unstake your staked Ethereum. Sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
So, Alex, how long would you say that you've been in the space, man? Because you sound like you're involved and knowing a lot about a lot of projects. Is with you working from home, you have a lot of time, or like what is going on? Because you're blowing my mind with all the stuff you're knowledgeable about.
Yeah, so ironically, the way I found out about you and Synchronistic was through Girl Dad. So I understand you and he met in like January. So the real backstory and genesis, I mean, I got in on Top Shot. I signed up, I guess, on the 22nd of February, which is technically late. I missed the accumulation bubble where I could have bought stuff and made tons of cash had I been in there before. And so I'm part of a daily fantasy sports community called DFS Army. Because I'm a big like daily fantasy sports person. I do NFL, NBA. I even dabble in the esports and stuff because like we have optimizers tools and stuff where, you don't need to know anything about that. You just need to know how to set up lineups and throw them in for variance to your favor. So in that community, we used to have a Slack channel that went along with it. And there's tons of channels. And we've since gone to Discord. But basically in Discord, I guess Girl Dad got geeked to make a Top Shot channel. So, I kept seeing this stuff popping in the NFL chat channels about like, don't sleep on Top Shot. And I'm like, what is Top Shot? So I like literally, in February went in there and signed up for an account. Little did I know that I must have caught some perfect like window where signups were being allowed, because later I found out that you couldn't just sign up anytime you wanted to in beta, that open and close that window on you. So luckily I made an account, and I remember looking at the prices of things and went like, I don't even know what this is. This stuff seems expensive. I don't know. And I just kind of like ignored it. And then like I saw somebody, I think it was Geek and some other people got that premium pack from like early February. And I literally watched him open it, and Geek had like a $15,000 moment. He spent all of $50 on his pack. And I'm like, well, I like money. So what is this?
Dude, that's crazy. That's the same exact path I took, Alex. I mean, to the T. I started out in DFS, and just with all the degenerates on Twitter, kept talking about it. I made an account in January, and that same thought. I was like, oh, this is just ridiculous, stupidest thing I've ever seen. It's too expensive. And then Bales made that massive sale. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to go dump some cash into this and see what happens. But the only way I didn't even have any crypto yet.
Right.
So I took a bunch of credit cards, because you couldn't even buy crypto on a credit card, but with Dapper you could get in.
Yep.
And that's what I did, and just started flipping, and it was crazy. And that's how I got into all NFT space in general as well.
I mean, I've been accumulating, like I bought in, my whole idea was just to get in on packs, buy a pack, sell all the stuff, just be a rent seeker, as the Top Shot community loves to call those people. And then, like with any NFT, you kind of get that behavioral bias that once you own it, you start to like them a little bit more, and then it's hard for you to sell them. So I definitely had a little bit of free cash flow to play with, and I've got 200, and I'm about to have 250 moments because I just finished that WNBA showdown challenge. So I'm sitting on a nice little stack. I think my cost basis is about like 6K. So I got some good stuff. I got a Paul Pierce run it back from season 1,
Nice.
that I spent I don't know.
I was focused on completing sets early. I did,
Yeah.
and I held too long. I did the full Cool Cats Master Challenge,
Yeah.
start to finish, and did all those things. And you're sitting there looking at these moments that are like, okay, this thing I just paid $1,000 for is $11,000 now, and why I didn't sell any of that stuff, I have no idea. But they've provided some good utility now. I don't know if you have access to that Nine Lives Lounge, but they're really doing some good stuff lately. It's got me excited about that project again too.
LaMelo was too rich for my blood. My most expensive moment was the Paul Pierce. I spent like $1,200 on it, and luckily it's worth over $2,000 right now.
Well, that LaMelo I got for I don't know $500 or $600. And then I did the challenge and got the master challenge one. I don't even know what that's worth now. I stopped opening packs. I think I have 18 or 20 unopened packs just sitting in there, and some rares, some what are the legendaries or whatever they call them. I don't know.
Man, I'll tell you my story, man. Like, we were right about Girl Dad. Girl Dad got in touch with me, and this guy is a Ivy League graduate, and he gets in touch with me in January. Oh, wait, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, got you.
Okay, so he got in touch with me in January. He's an Ivy League graduate, takes care of a huge portfolio management team, and all of a sudden he's like, "How are you doing, sir?" And if he saw me on the street, I don't know if he'd even wave or nod his head, but all of a sudden, because of Top Shot, he wanted advice from me. And obviously that guy's a G and has run with it. He didn't know much about crypto or NFTs at that point, but now he has his own little team that they're, going to be setting up those charities. I got involved with Top Shot in October, and I got from the nostalgia. I was like, you know what? I'm going to spend this money. I remember joking one time with the people I worked with at that time, like, I was like, well, if I had a girlfriend right now, I would have been sleeping on the couch last night. I spent $1,000 on these packs last night, And I remember in the middle of December, I decided that I wanted to have a complete set of Series 1 commons. And I remember that I had to bite the bullet. I was thinking at that time, I was like, man, I got to bite the bullet. I got to spend $125 on that LeBron James Top Shot debut moment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, dude. I had to get a Steph Curry for $60, Top Shot debut. And I'm like, I guess I'm going to just bite the bullet. This is kind of a good little bit of money. And I mean, like that, just to give you reference, Dylan, that Top Shot moment I'm talking about spending $125 on, is it like 12,500 now? It's still way over.
They were up over $25,000 at one point.
One of the LeBrons from S1 was $100,000. One that you could get in a pack, because I think that's what Girl Dad figured out. He literally got a pack and pulled a LeBron. Probably saw the valuation on it, because then he went and bought like a LeBron for $10,000. Then he bought another one for like 15 or 20. Like he put in, I think his story trajectory, he got all his money back off the table because he got in January like that, figured some stuff out, made some good buys, sold it all off, got his cost basis back, and then started playing with house money. And his account's ridiculous if you look it up on Moment Ranks.
Yeah, that was the hard lesson learned for me is get your principal out of the NFT space as quick as you can on every project you're in, and then free roll it.
I mean, the other thing too is I guess I'm not unfamiliar with the not NFTs but crypto. I mean, people, I remember back as early like probably 2009 or so, some people at work, a bunch of engineers. So people are like, you see that MIT Bitcoin thing? So for years I didn't even understand that until it started, getting over like $1,000 or $2,000, Bitcoin. And I'm like, what is this thing? Read a couple of books. Digital Gold, I think, was one of the first Bitcoin books I listened to on audio. And then I grabbed the Coinbase account, didn't really buy anything. I just grabbed the account to use it like a stock ticker, really, for the only three things that were listed at the time. I think this is going back to like 2014 or something. It was basically Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. And, I would just follow it, and then I'd read some articles and stuff, but you could get all the little white papers. I haven't gone terribly deep in those, but I mean, I've been between podcasts on it, books, and just reading articles and digging in on the white papers and stuff, I've gotten a lot of exposure. And then really NFTs catalyzed some of the stuff I've read over the years, because it didn't, things like when people are talking and complaining about gas and whether or not it's scalable on the Ethereum, on the proof of work or the proof of stake. Once I started buying some NFTs, and my first NFT outside of Top Shot was Slacker Duck Pond at the end of June. So I've only been dabbling in NFTs on Ethereum since, basically July. And the minute I saw the gas stuff, within a few transactions, I was like, oh, this is what they're talking about. And then it was like, it made sense. So like proof of work is great if you're moving like billions and trillions of dollars, because, you spend $3,000 to move $1 trillion, that's, basically free. But, spending an ETH to buy something that's got a cost of, $100 doesn't make sense. So it's not scalable, which is why the fork to proof of stake is, for Ethereum, something that should be used as a, every man's currency. You go buy a coffee or something, and even then you need these side chain things like XLM and Ripple and, all these other things that'll do side chain settlements so that everybody's assured they're going to get paid, and you can take your coffee and still drink it when it's hot.
Andy, you still in on Top Shot?
Yeah, man, I'm just like you, Austin. Man, I hodled. I had like 14 moments of this, like Damian Lee, and I was like, do I really want to sell one of them? I only have 13 of them now. And so yeah, I'm in like the point. I think my ranking is about like 140 in the world, or something. Yeah, I got like 1,800 of them, or something, like 1,850. I joke with people that if I pass away, I'm gonna give everybody that goes to a funeral one Top Shot moment, and people are gonna be like, "Man, I hope I get that. Run it back, KD, get that running back in." Like everybody that like there is gonna be like, "Oh, I hope I get it like a $10,000 moment." So yeah, I've been sitting on them, but I'm really looking forward to this October and the season starting, and I think they're ready to explode again.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm excited about it again.
And Dylan, just with what he was just talking about, let them know maybe what you've been doing to try to figure out about this gas and how it can help with this publishing, and kind of some of the directions that you're taking, with publishing with the gas problems.
Straight up. Well, there's a short-term fix we've got and a long-term fix. And the short-term fix is, straight up lazy minting via the Rarible smart contract. So the tech that we're working on is based on Rarible. It'll automatically mint to Rarible. And I think it'll even be eligible for Rari tokens. So Rarible has a token, and they're doing some volume mining, which basically means when you buy and sell things on their platform, you get a bonus in Rari tokens. So that's been actually pretty substantial already. It's a really popular token. I think it's essentially a social token, though. Maybe it can be used as money on the platform. And so our vision for Page is to take it and basically make it kind of like Rari for the foreseeable future. But it'll grant access to a DAO. So it's going to cost 100. You're going to have to hold 100 Page tokens to have access to the Page DAO. And basically, we'll do this with collab.land, and we'll do it through Discord, and you'll be able to link your MetaMask wallet right up to it. So that's V1. No gas costs to Whippy, but there are still gas costs to buyers. That is still a problem. Transactions are still slow. It's still clunky because it's built on ETH. So what are we going to do about it? Well, actually, in 2 days, me and Robbie are having a call with the director of NFTs from Tendermint. So, Phil, if you're still listening, I may miss part of that call. But anyways, so basically our thought is that they've got Imerus, and Imerus is already out. And what Imerus is a portal that allows you to access your Cosmos SDK, IBC assets from Imerus, no matter where they are. So like you can see them across blockchains, you can see them all over the world. They basically, and anyway, so it's crazy. Nobody, not even Coinbase, not even Kraken, none of these well-funded exchanges, nobody has ever had anything quite like this before. So what it is basically is like the most powerful piece of tech in the world. Nobody knows about it yet because it's just a bunch of Cosmos-based assets that work on it right now. Right now, they're also working on Ethermint, though, which is a bridge to Ethereum. So soon, people are going to be LPing ERC20 tokens, perhaps including Page on Osmosis, just directly, because they'll be compatible blockchain-wise. So you'll have to probably pay a fee to send it from Ethereum to Osmosis, and then the only reason you would ever have to pay another ETH fee on that money is if you're sending it back to Ethereum. So, that might be necessary for a while to cash out at like the exchange, for example. Anyway, so my point with all of this is that all of these different blockchains are about to be connected in a new way, and at Whippy, we have seen fit to establish an alliance with the guy who is right in the middle of building it, so that we can build the part for books that goes in that. So basically, what we've done with Rarible is we've created sort of a white label Mintgate contract and website that we're going to, basically be putting up in the near term. And we'll probably do something like that with Pylons to get to Cosmos eventually as well. But we're going to be, we're going to be hanging out with all the top people from all the spaces. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you're not already part of WIT Publishing, either, as like a reader or like a Discord member, please come join our growing community and get some value out of that relationship, just like we are. Because, it's just, I don't know, every day's a new adventure over there, right, Andy?
Yeah, it's crazy to have somebody come in and, all of a sudden, especially like the perfect example for Dylan, I feel like is doing that past the pen. And when we first started out, we're hyping up everybody in Token Smart and basically the Easy, who was one of the people that was doing it, and Jim were pretty much writing the story because they were like, anyone, if y'all want to contribute, just, put something down. They tried to get people to, y'all make up a name for this person, and just people would just be doing pictures and gifts and, partying or whatever. And just like, okay, I guess we'll name him. And from there, just like in a couple of months, like Easy went on an amazing trip to Colombia, onboarding all these amazing artists in, that country, and just had an amazing experience down there with them wanting to learn NFTs and becoming involved. By the time he comes back, people had just mad rushed it and freaking had taken over, where the last show we did, we didn't even know what to talk about anymore because it was out of our hands. Like, we were like, we don't know what to do now. Like, everybody had taken over, even Jedi that's here right now. Thank you for joining, man. Have been incredible as far as getting involved. And so it's just amazing how you can kind of, whether it's Misfortune Cookies as well, that's been, a huge success, but it's interesting to come out with these ideas that different people can get involved in, and people are enjoying doing that. So, that's what this is all about.
Yeah. Well, and totally, man. Look, guys, if you're in the audience and you're seeing Andy doing this really badass project and Whip supporting him, or if you're seeing like Misfortune Cookies or whatever the case may be, and you're like, what they should do is they should do blah, 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 and you have like your own kind of idea. Well, like basically all that Misfortune Cookies and Synchronistic are in the first place is the combination of a creator's sort of creative instinct, and then just kind of like this weird organization of like helpful nerds that is the Work in Progress Publishing Company. And so like, I mean, straight up, like we'll help people out. We're interested in building technology around weird ideas, around written content.
So like with misfortune cookies, like I saw some of those. Those are pretty funny. I mean, like to go past just a bunch of people having fun with, seeing how out there they can get with, some things, that would be misfortunate. Look at like that card game Exploding Kittens, or I can't even think of the name of the other one that's more adult centric or whatever, the black and white cards.
Yeah, Cards Against Humanity.
But
I used to play that all the time in grad school.
So I mean, I could almost see, I don't know if you could gamify in a way, but I mean, Exploding Kittens was like a Kickstarter that people did. That wasn't like some Milton Bradley group, coming up with that in their writer's room. That was some like family that created that one, and it's like a hit. So could like something like Misfortune Cookies be turned into something in those lines, like a game, Cards Against Humanity or Exploding Kittens or something?
Yeah, dude, I bet it could. That's a really fascinating question. Like, we could definitely put you in touch with Phil, and you guys could talk about it a little bit. I mean, shit, I see no reason why not. I also think the idea of like starting with, like a game, even might be like kind of cool. A lot of people, starting with Andy, probably a dozen people have approached me over the past 6-12 months about using my book to make puzzles out of. And especially the NFT book Genesis tokens are kind of great for this because they're all free to read, So whereas we're going to have token gating for some of the others, and, it'll be like one of those things where you have to make sure that, you've got access, you've got a document that everybody has access to. But anyway, like, what about like a Trivial Pursuit about the books? You know what I mean? Like you could take the NFT book Genesis series and develop like a pilot version of this game, and it would be, you could just do something very similar to Trivial Pursuit, but you could do it with NFTs, and you could make it like somehow like about the content of all the different books. Like all the questions could be sourced from these 12 books. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely pretty cool. I mean, that's I mean, just imagine if you could scale that over time. Like that'd be a great beta, to figure out how to make that work. But could you imagine being able to do that for?
Well, 12 books is about a course in grad school. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's like a chunk of information that's a pretty good amount. And you could absolutely just like parlay that straight into the classroom, couldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking like, imagine if you could make that work, for a series of 12 books. But then what if you could just take all of Amazon and allow people in like a Netflix or Hulu kind of way, select some amount of volumes of works, and then have that generate that kind of a game from a user selection. Then it's almost like tailorable to anybody, where it's not so niche that you would have to have, a particular, part of the population that would be interested in, playing a game on those books. But if you could make it to where they could play it on just about anything.
Yeah, buddy. Well, I don't know if we'll ever have a partnership with Amazon or Google, but I do know that, like, pretty much as soon as Page is up and like self-sufficient, I'm immediately gonna like just start building the LibraNet because the LibraNet's white paper solves a curation problem that Page's white paper does not solve. So essentially, there's like a second layer to this thing that I'm gonna build as soon as we've kind of got Page where it needs to be. To build upon. And so my thought there is like, what if this game involved 12 books, and what if you just had to, there's probably going to be an open source, open text, type of atmosphere in the LibraNet, and you could just pull all your books directly from there, and it would even check the copyright and make sure it was all good and stuff, because that's the LibraNet is a DRM solution.
One that'll actually work, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
So that's fascinating too, because like what you were talking about earlier with the side chains and everything else, I mean, my mind kind of like, I didn't know what to think about the crypto, when you heard Bitcoin, Ethereum, if you just went back to the kind of original two, um, you know, I think the first time my eyes were opened, like I got, sucked in work-wise into the IT domain and networks and things like that. So I didn't know a whole, I went to college for straight double E, not like computer science or computer engineering and networking and stuff. So when I learned about, I had people explaining to me about like all the ports, protocols, and services, all the TCP IP and why you would use like, I'd heard all this stuff over the years, like port 80, 8080, 443s and all these things. I didn't know what it meant. But those are all
port 8080.
But those are all protocols. And then when I understood that, and then I read or heard something on cryptos where cryptos are protocols as well. And my mind just exploded. I was like, I get it. I see now I understand. Like, so that's why they call it the Web 3.0. So you had like all the stuff that was done starting with DARPA and the ARPANET, which eventually became, in 94, what we all know and love as the internet with TCP IP and websites and all that stuff. Then, payments and all that, which is what this space, the cryptography and the payments supposed to take that off of the web layer so that you can do certain things on that layer. This becomes a whole nother layer of secure transactional, space, which, disrupts and interrupts, traditional banking and finance.
Yeah. Well, dude, I studied philosophy in college. So believe it or not, I can take it even nerdier than you. And what I can say is that the Turing incomplete blockchain solutions that we see today represent, I would actually say, as a philosopher with my philosophy hat on, bet you didn't know we had those, right? But yeah, so wearing the philosophy hat, I think it would actually be a reasonable thing for someone to at least try to prove. I don't know if it's completely provable yet or anything, but I would say that what blockchain does is it fundamentally changes ontology, which takes out a component of epistemic uncertainty that tends to accompany measurements in the real world or in classical mechanics. Because, they all talk about quantum mechanics and classical mechanics and how the math is so different and all that. But, at the end of the day, when in light of like chaos theory and, basically what that indicates is that our measurements are never precise enough and we can never anticipate what the error is going to be, right? So it creates this opening in like the otherwise deterministic, more or less closed loop of our understanding of the world. And so basically, like, wouldn't it be remarkable if the reason that blockchain was the thing that was bringing all these people together had something to do with the way that epistemic problem that we're all used to dealing with all the time doesn't seem to apply as much here, or doesn't apply in the same way perhaps here, because the hacks are a drag, and people are getting hacked everywhere, left and right. It's happening to everybody. Like, the only thing to do is to diversify your portfolio, I would say. So have your assets in different places, so that you've got the measure of redundancy as well. But also make sure they're stored under wallets that are generated from different private key phases. Or phrases, excuse me, because I mean it's really important to make sure that other people aren't assuming your digital identity and digitally doing things like paying themselves all of your money. I mean, you just can't really understate the importance of security these days, and we're all going to have to be security experts to some extent. But yeah, I would literally contend that we can know things in the blockchain space in a way that we can't know things in real life. Like, does that sound ridiculous? Like, what do you guys think about that?
No, not ridiculous. I mean, it's basically a ledger. It's becoming a massive ledger, and there's however many thousands, hundreds of thousands of blocks transacted, since these protocols came online. But it's fascinating. It's almost like it really is right now, very much like probably the 70s or the 80s, metaphorically, to the internet we're used to. If you watch those shows like Halt and Catch Fire and stuff, I mean, it's really just all the pioneers and people playing in the space at the moment. But in the future, you could imagine, I mean, look how different the internet and working with the internet is, before Google search came along, after Google search came along, and then, HTML5 versus Flash and all that other stuff. So, people haven't written the things that'll make these blockchain ledgers even more understandable or readable across the space.
But have you messed with Amaris or with Osmosis at all? The new Cosmos dexes? I would argue that those are easier to use than my goddamn Bank of America app. No lie.
Nice.
And it's like, I mean, it's advanced DeFi, man. Like, and the returns are ridiculous. I'm still making over 200% per day APR. So no complaints.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell y'all this. First of all, with some of y'all in here, I want to thank Dylan so much for the support throughout this project and the way I wanted to lay it out. He's been there from the beginning and kind of been like, hey, you do you, and I'll be here to support it. And he's making a dream come true for me. To go back to the Top Shot, when I was in January, I was talking about NFTs to my friends and telling them how this is going to revolutionize the music industry. I really felt it and didn't even think about me and my book, and that I've been waiting for this moment my whole life. It didn't hit me until Easy said, wait a minute, you wrote a book? And all of a sudden, my reality changed that day. And to Austin, to Alex, to Rarest BC that's been here this whole time, I just want to thank y'all, and Jedi and everybody else. Like Jedi, I look forward to you getting involved with this project and being at this puzzle tomorrow and get to see this first ever puzzle that you're getting to see. Bearcat, as I said, is going to be there. We tried to, I hopefully didn't make it too difficult, but this one's going to be hopefully where some people have some challenge. And he called you out, Austin. But we're coming up on an hour. But I want to really thank the people that came here. I didn't want to put any hashtags or anything like that and draw, people to something. I'm just learning how to do the spaces, make sure I'm not just fumbling everything out. But thank you all so much for y'all's support. And I always try to.
Hey, Andy, on behalf of everyone at Wib Publishing, I just want to say thank you in return, man. Like, we love having you on our team. You've done a great job of supporting us, even as we've been supporting you. And it's just it's a real pleasure to be able to watch a dude like you grow, man. So keep up the good work.
Yeah, and thank y'all again, man. It's been an hour. So Austin, Alex, I don't know if you have one thing left to say, man, but again, just thank y'all for being here and being here with each step and trying to encourage me, keep me going, and offering me advice when y'all can.
Enjoyed it, man. You guys have a good evening.